Okay, and hopefully that's served its purpose of giving you a good introduction into why Looker exists, what we do. Hopefully that's done that. Is there any questions? We'll perhaps take a few questions next. Okay.
Thank you. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Amani. I'm an economist, and I have a couple of questions to you pertaining your software. The first question is that you indicated that the data that you use is basically the data from like different sources, such as Amazon, Google, and whatever data. And the other source is SQL data, right? So does that mean that any company that wants to adopt your system has to have a SQL system so that they can use Locker, right, to extract the data, right?
Yeah, correct. So one of the fundamental things that needs to be available is the data, and since we believe the best case to have that is a single database, so all our clients will have a single database, which they've either kind of created themselves or maybe well within our partners, such as Pegasus, to establish that and make that available.
Okay, thank you. The second question is, I just got to understand that the kind of statistics that I basically get from using Locker is kind of like descriptive statistics, right? Because from my understanding from the presentation is that the system extracts the whatever data is it, and then some user has to identify or define what is it the KPIs that I'm looking for, or what is it the indicators that I want to look at. So someone has to identify this to the system, and then based on this, the system works, and it's kind of like automized afterwards. But this brings me to that question of, because you've mentioned that I can ask the system any question, which is true, but it has to be identified every time I have a new question. Someone who's specialist has to write the code or like define the question and how to look at it to the system for the system to be able to work, right?
Yeah, so there's two parts there. If it's a new KPI, you need an analyst to define it very simply in the code to ensure that everyone else is using the same definition. When actually everyone gets a lot of flexibility is to then be able to use any of the KPIs, any of the dimensions, and they can combine them and look at it from any angle that they want, and from any part of the data, right? So if you want to look at this year, or last year, 5 years ago, if you want to look by country, by gender, by anything, the combination of all these elements is completely up to you.
Okay. No, actually, I meant to ask, I just wanted to ask this question because sometimes when you want to look at it's not only descriptive statistics of, oh, what did we do, what's the sales, what's the trends of the seasonality and stuff like this. Sometimes you need something that is more advanced, and you want to look at the correlation between two variables and things of that sort. And for this particular analysis, then you need to build some kind of econometric modeling. So that's why I was asking if your system can provide something like that.
Yeah, so that was something that is more advanced. So you would be, as a business user, you'd be able to do some simple correlations that are in the interface. But for more advanced model, one of the analysts would have to prepare it.
Okay. Okay, got you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Regarding the scheduled reports, do we have something like a report that is generated automatically once a threshold has been violated, even positively or negatively? So do we have this?
Yes, and then you can decide how you would like to be alerted to it.
To whom this report that has to be sent, or okay. Another question. Thank you. It's somehow related to the second question for Amani. Is it if I have different clients, different industries, so the application, does the application customize itself to be suitable for these industries?
In which respect?
The graphicals, the tabs. I mean, like if in a product company, so the tabs could the names of the tabs could be different from service companies that provide some kind of services.
Yeah, so all of that is completely up to the client.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it will be completely adapted to what you need specifically in your company, and we then help you get to that point as well as the process.
Thank you. Okay, the last question is, if a customer has just Excel, his database on Excel, so what we have to do in order to make him work with Looker is to put his data into a SQL first, and then we can get Looker to do our analysis.
Yes,
Okay.
I would encourage the prospect of the customer to sort of automate the process whenever they receive Excel files, automatically
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great questions. Any more? Yep.
Thank you.
This is Mina from WinFi. So first is about the performance. So I can understand that Looker sends direct SQL commands to our database. What is the footprint of Looker on the database?
Yeah, the footprint is going to depend on the number of users. And so there's a couple of recommendations there. So first of all, from the Looker standpoint, we provide caching and different ways of defining derived table as required that can be standardized and materialized back in the database. The second point is that you do indeed need a database that is sort of up to scale with your volume of data. And so we do rely on that.
Okay. So the second thing is that Looker do sentiment analysis, or we have to. Does Looker do sentiment analysis, or we have to do the sentiment analysis on our part and provide the matrices to Looker?
So I think that will depend on how far you want to go into those type of analytics. It's somewhat similar to the econometric model, where simple sentiment analysis can be done directly in Looker because the database or through a SQL you can do those sort of things. But if you want very advanced analytics, what our clients do actually is use Looker to provide the data through the API into custom algorithm and models, and then push it back into it for to display the results to their users.
Thank you.
If your database sources are distributed in different centers, will you be able to collect those database from different centers through an API integration and gather it all in one centralized database so you can extract the data out of it?
So Looker itself does not connect to two APIs, only connect directly to databases. So it will depend on one or two things. Either there's an interface that allows to access all databases across from one place, right? Depending on the database type, that is sometimes possible. Otherwise, the other option that we work with partners with is called data virtualization, where you're able to actually connect to all those different data centers and provide a single interface to Looker. And then the assisting technology is able to split the requests into the correct silos.
Will you be able to integrate all this with the financing department and the operation department and the sales department and come up with a one analytic report from various database centers?
Using the one of the two processes I described, yes.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Slam Abbas. I worked in multiple telecommunication companies before Etisalat and Vodafone, and we are having tons of data. And even using the word tons, I think it's humiliating for the data by our side. My main point here that I need to know regarding the performance and how Locker is working on such tons of data. Especially we are having analytics, we are having call data records, DDRs, and we are having the customer information regarding either using from Google Analytics on the websites or OBIE on our e-commerce. How we are integrating and collecting all such data from these different sources in a good timely manner, and not to affect the performance and how the business team are grabbing the reports. Especially they are in need to have such reports seen online in order to take some sort of decisions, online decisions on such customers. Especially we are having to detect their average revenue per user and how they are acting and spending, and send to them the right campaigns on the right time. The performance here is really a key. Do you have any case that you sell your program, your solution to one of the telcos anywhere in the globe or so?
So typically in those cases, the key thing is to be working with, I guess, an analytical database that can support those volumes. A couple of things that come to mind are usually cloud-based, although there are also on-premise solutions. For the on-premise solution, maybe something like Vertica provides sort of like the multiple parallel processing power and columnar storage that allows you to get the good performance. Otherwise, we have clients working with like petabytes of data in BigQuery, for example. It does come down to having made the right architectural choices so that the data can be made available to Looker. And the performance can be very similar to what you would get if you had an analyst. Well, it's going to be the same to what an analyst would be writing a SQL query themselves. The difference here is that instead of having to ask every one of them, you can actually get your business users to do that themselves. And I'll show you that in the session afterwards.
Do you sell such solution before to any of the telcos or so?
We have a number of telco customers, so we can talk about that offline.
Yeah.
Regarding security, regarding security, if by mistake my username and password has been stolen, and someone use it from his laptop to grab the data or whatever information, how does Looker secure me in this case?
So what I would encourage you to do is instead of having a specific email and password address for Looker, to actually just integrate that directly with the rest of your company's user management system, so that you essentially can't lose your login password to Looker. Instead, it's rely on what your company does, and that also entails, if you have to connect through VPN, if you have to have password into your laptop, all of those things will, because they're required by your company, will by default be applied to Looker as well.
So what if I use Looker over cloud?
Yeah.
So now I don't have I get the VPN. Correct me if I'm wrong. The VPN is not will not be used in this case if it's over cloud.
So if you log in your company system, you are required to access through the VPN. It would still be required. If you have an independent password, which I wouldn't recommend, then you can access this over cloud. But that's just an option that can be essentially disabled depending on how you install Looker. So I would say the best security is a security that prevents you from sharing and losing your password and logging details.
One of our clients, the GM, I've lost his password. I don't know how did that stolen, but it happened. So I'm asking if some sort of client is, but I guess you said that we don't implement any client or application, I mean. So some programs, but not related to data analysis, installed a client hidden just to recognize the laptop for this specific user in order to get into the application and get an
so well, in that very specific case, there's not much we can do to prevent people accessing it. However, we do have everything that's in Looker is getting logged, and you can also monitor usage so that if any irregularities or spikes in data are happening, suddenly someone's starting to download a lot of things, you can have alerts that go then to the IT team or to the admin team, and they can go and check what's been happening, disable it, where was it accessed from, all that sort of thing.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Muhammad Ahmed, data scientist from the CIB. Here I have a question. I've worked in a lot of companies, and I think that the process is typically what is happening in any other data warehouse. Like if anyone wants to have a report, he asks the technical team to prepare the report, and then he have like an interface that acts as that report, whatever the visualization looks like. So what is the difference here? I want to know the edge for Looker. Like if I'm the business and I need certain information, so I will ask some analyst to prepare that report, and either that report will be sent to me or that will be a visualization tool like from the business objects or from Tableau. But here, this process will also happen. I will ask the analyst to prepare that table, and then I will access that data through Looker. So what is the difference here? What is the edge of Looker over the typical process that we facing a lot in our companies?
Yeah, so there's two things here. So in this case, in the case of Looker, the analyst does not need to prepare the report. He does not need to prepare a table specifically for that report either. What does happen is that the first time someone needs a new metrics, they will need to define it, right? But then moving forward, any business users can actually use those metrics directly to create any report that they want or any combination of reports. So when you have a new need or a new question, 9 times out of 10, you don't need to go back to the analyst, because the analyst doesn't need to prepare a new table, doesn't need to prepare a new report. The report can actually be directly created by a non-technical person. And then the other part that's important is, if you go back to sort of the architecture slide, creating a report, creating a dashboard is one of the things that Looker does. There's also all the other options around the API, around the scheduling automatically, around embedding in other application, which is also very different.
Okay, then the main edge here that the business guy can do that work instead of the analyst guy. This is the main edge here.
Correct.
Okay,
I'll show you that, so it will make even more sense later.
Okay, I have other questions here. Does that tool support machine learning algorithms to be implemented and run on the system, like if I'm developing prediction model or descriptive model or sentiment analysis or whatever techniques I'm using? Does this tool provide me the capability of accessing the data, write my code with whatever I'm writing with R, some other guy writing with Python? Then can I use that code to get the data and build the model, and then to get monthly report or whatever KPIs to be generated from that model?
Yeah, so the actual model, so the machine learning model, the predictive model, that part still needs to sit outside of Looker, but the rest can be automated. So, automatically delivering the data from Looker in the correct format to the algorithm, and then pushing the results back into visualization and getting the visualization report emailed. All of that part gets automated, and that's done through the Looker creating reports, as well and automating the sending, as well as through the API for the part that the data scientist is doing. So you can programmatically access the data in a way that's been cleansed and prepared for the specific analytics machine learning that you're doing outside of Looker.
Okay, then I will extract the data externally and then do my model and then use the data and provide the model with my rules or whatever what I'm built, and then the Looker will provide me with the data one more time. This is what
correct. Yeah, Looker will just provide the data in the correct format.
Okay, thank you.
We will take like one question more and then we will have a break. During this break, it will be in the breakout area, the same one that we had at the beginning. We'll have to discuss things, and then I think most of your technical question and actually these stuff will be answered by design in our demo. It's a very heavy one. It includes both the business user, what will see, and also the technical team, how they will see. So I'll take one more question, please. I'll take it. Can I take it?
Then we'll start with the business users, and then we'll move into the technical.
Yes, I'll take one more question, and then we stay in the...
Hello, hi. I have one question. My name is Tarek Lachine. I am the founder of Loop Egypt. It's a consultancy, and we work in web development as well. Do you treat data of the companies in silos, or do you aggregate data from similar sectors of same companies together?
So across multiple companies?
Exactly.
So we will have a dedicated Looker instance for each company.